There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy a favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
So whether you're trying to replace a factory amplifier or connect to the original head unit to get some signal, well, the team at PAC has pretty much got you covered with a tremendous selection of OEM integration solutions. Today we've got Jeff Smith in the studio with us today to go over the latest applications and show you what PAC has got in store for you for this season. This is CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM, PAC, and that starts now. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in this lunch hour for another CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu, and today we are continuing down the path that is OEM integration, a category that is so significant and so important for shops that are dealing with sound every single day. I mean, if without the OEM integration tools that are now available on the market, how else can we get the sound right? So of all the players out there, PAC, certainly owned by AMP Global, has a reputation for coming up with great solutions. We're going to talk about those solutions today, whether you're talking about, something as basic as a line out converter or a AMP Pro kit, or even an applications integration specific kit that PAC has really been hard up on coming out with some really great solutions these last few years. So to get us into that space, we're going to invite their national trainer, their director of trainer, Mr. Jeff Smith, to the studio.
Hey, Ben. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, as always, Jeff. Now, Jeff, this is not our first rodeo talking about OEM integration, because obviously it is such a significant and relevant category right now for shops. And, what might have been a little bit of a mystery when it first came out, when people were trying to figure out, how do I get these flat signals? How do I integrate into these cars that are starting to have, nicer looking interfaces from factory? It was all a kind of confusing place in the beginning of it all, but time has passed. And certainly as the vehicles have evolved, so have the solutions, especially the ones coming from PAC. So coming from that, within the space of OEM integration products and solutions, what are some of the features that really make PAC products unique?
Well, Ben, for many, many years, PAC has been the installer's friend. You're talking about products designed by installers for installers. We have been known as the data bus integration champions for a long time. So having that ability to plug and play into a lot of vehicle applications, whether we are simply adding an analog audio solution, a digital audio solution, a video solution for some of the other connections, or even the little switches and relays and digital trinkets that we create in order to allow installers a better way of connecting into vehicles. PAC is all about being that total integration solution.
Total integration solutions. I think you're going to back that statement up today, especially with the products that we're going to cover. And I remember when PAC was just simple stuff, right? Just a couple wires, harnesses, maybe some trim packs. Man, is it like we are in a totally different
level. Crossover coils and caps.
All that was it, right? That was what it was about. But we're talking from the shop perspective, and I'm talking about how relevant and how important this category is. How important is it, though, to stay on top of all the latest releases and the solutions? Because it seems like it's an ever-evolving landscape.
Exactly. It's just that. There's a topic I've always used for a number of years, and that's evolve or die. So if you do not stay on the forefront of the evolution of integration products, whether it be a kit to help you integrate in an aftermarket head unit into a vehicle, whether it be a digital interface to help you connect into a modern vehicle, you're going to cause more damage and more problems to these modern vehicles. That's going to be a headache for the installer, for the customer, and inevitably the shop owner. And you don't want that. So people in our industry, starting from the back of the house with the installers, they watch this show, they pay attention to all the other events that are going on out there. They become educated and they want to stay on top of the latest, greatest products. And that's what we're here to talk about.
And I'm just going to share with you the flip side of it all. If you're not taking the making the effort and staying on top, like everything Jeff just described, you are more than likely turning away business that you could have had you known that there was a solution out for it. Right. So break it down for us, Jeff. What are we going to be covering today?
So today we're going to cover probably the 4 pillars that PAC integration really dives into. We're going to talk about radio integration. We're going to talk about audio integration, video integration, and a couple small unique installation integration pieces that make, special little things work.
And a couple new releases at that.
Yes, that too.
Obviously. Let's get the party started. We've got an interesting video all about Lock Pro, a very important piece that Jeff will be talking more on. We're going to play the video, and when we come back, we'll get Jeff all set up for his presentation. Here we go.
Lock Pro Advanced line output converters feature incredible input power capabilities, enhanced output controls, and noise isolation countermeasures. These features, combined with compatibility for the newest vehicle systems, is the gateway for your audio aspirations. LPA 1.2 and LPA 1.4 both feature a metal housing for heat dissipation far better than plastic, stereo gain controls, ensuring that left and right channels are equal, support for higher voltage inputs up to 20 volts for handling modern amplified audio systems, auto turn-on using wide-range DC offset, which detects signal from the OEM audio system to prevent needing to find an accessory or remote wire for amp turn-on, screw-tight connector for quick connect that is solid and resists vibration in the vehicle, built-in selectable load resistors, which replicates the balancing load of a speaker to prevent the factory system from shutting down, 20 ohms, 60 ohms, and 20,000 ohms. Selectable ground to match the ground plane in the vehicle to prevent or reduce engine noise. Choose between common ground, ISO, or 200 ohms. Clip indicator to help to properly set amplifier gains and prevent distortion. LPA 2.2 and LPA 2.4 support additional accessories. Stepping up to the 2 series, you'll find all those great features and add increased power handling up to 40 volts or 400 watts, low pass filter on channel 3 and 4, bass boost on channel 3 and 4 to restore bass frequencies that are lost in the OEM signal that roll off due to speed-controlled EQ or volume. Supports optional remote level controller. LPA E.4. Stepping up to the fully loaded LPA E.4, you'll get all those features mentioned plus aluminum housing for ultimate heat dissipation, 4-channel input to support fading from front to rear, included remote level controller. If you go to a movie theater to watch a movie, or go to a concert to see your favorite band perform, they use all different types of speakers, from small speakers to produce high frequencies, to very large speakers which produce lower frequencies. Subwoofers are larger speakers used to produce lower end frequencies, and generally speaking, the larger the speaker is, the more power it requires to drive. Any complete surround sound system you enjoy has a subwoofer to reproduce low-end frequency sounds like explosions or bass notes from musical instruments. Subwoofers create sound that you can hear and sound waves that you can feel, so you're experiencing more when you've added a subwoofer to your sound system. But amplifiers aren't only about having King Kong in your trunk so they can hear you before they see you. Some people want really good sound quality in their car, like they have in their home theater, or just to enjoy their commute. By adding an aftermarket amplifier, you could upgrade your speakers and provide them with more power and cleaner signal than you could get from your factory equipment. This is where the Lock Pro Advance comes in. It's a clever tool that has been designed to take the amplified output of a factory radio and convert it down to the signal required for an aftermarket amplifier's input. Lock Pro Advance is the missing link between your factory radio and more power. Factory radios typically look the best in the dash because they were designed to be there. An aftermarket radio can often look out of place, or your factory radio may have features you want to keep and you just want to increase your sound quality. Lock Pro Advance allows you to take the output from your factory radio and connect an aftermarket amplifier so you can increase your sound system's power, replace your factory speakers with better speakers, and add a subwoofer for low-end frequency response.
How far we've come from that cheap, level converter that was in a little Ziploc package on the wall.
Right?
My goodness, that unit is just loaded with features. But I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'm going to let you set that all up. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and set Jeff up with his presentation. We're going to leave you be. And obviously, when I come back, we're going to discuss a little bit about everything.
Awesome.
Here we go.
All right. So we're going to talk about the total integration solution from PAC today, starting with a little bit of history of just the in-car technology that has evolved over the years. There have been so many different advances that consumers and retailers have had to evolve along with, everything from FM radio to the 8-track player to cassettes, CDs. When CDs became a regular thing in cars, Ben, you remember how back in the day, these were $1,000 units, in order for a single CD just to go into the dash. Then came satellite radio, video was introduced, backup cameras, rear seat entertainment, navigation become a really big situation. Then, of course, carrying around so many CDs and cassettes back in the day, we had to compress that somehow. That's where MP3 came into play. HD radio became a thing that made radio itself that much better sound quality, more station capability. Bluetooth made connectivity a lot easier. App radio now allowed us to use our smartphones in order to do a lot new features. And then, of course, we're living in a generation of having a connected car where we can literally take our smart device, plug it into the car, take that same car, connect it to our home, and do so many different things, having the full gamut of technology available to us at any point in time. Now, let's talk about what we do here at PAC. So when our engineering team looks at a vehicle, and as a new product comes along or a new vehicle platform comes along, it's always a thought process of starting at square one. What does this vehicle need? Does it have the ability for us to create a dash kit that's going to require our mechanical engineering team to allow us to install into it an aftermarket head unit? Does it have a need for data communication, or are there analog signals inside this vehicle that will make it a lot easier? Does the kit need to be integrated, completely integrated, tapping into all the vehicle's data bus signals? Are those signals usable and replicable onto one of our screens or kit with that capability? And then, of course, like I said before, PAC is always about the installer. So what does the installer need in order to simplify the installation? How can we ensure that this product is going to work properly the very first time out of the box? We hate being a company where if you want something to work, you make sure you buy 2 or 3 of them, and so you have one that will work when another one fails. We also think about the expansion down the road, additional harnesses that cover multiple platforms, or additional expansion ports so that adding things down the road become a lot easier. And of course, last but definitely not least, what is the consumer really going to want? What features must we retain? We're never going to take away safety features. All your beeps, chimes, buzzes, and things that happen from factory, we try to never remove those features. We also want to make sure that everything is 100% reliable so that there will be no failures down the road or comebacks. Comebacks are never good for a retailer unless they're coming back for additional upgrades. And then, of course, we want to make sure that anything that we design is going to be extremely intuitive for the end user, also for the installer to be able to install it and program it however it needs to be, but definitely for the end user to be able to understand and operate their new devices. Like I kind of said in the top of the presentation, Ben, is that we're going to focus on 4 key points under PAC: radio replacement, audio integration, video interfacing, and some of the fitting and installation products that PAC is known for. Starting with radio integration solution, we're going to talk about one of the ways that the world has changed over the years. So back in the early 90s and late 80s, installing a head unit into a vehicle was extremely simple, right? You talk about a standard dash kit that was converting a DIN and a half down to a single DIN and a basic harness that would just wire into your aftermarket head unit. Well, you look at what's happening nowadays, you have a very sophisticated OEM screen that requires data control, that requires steering wheel control retention, amplifier retention, backup camera retention, rear seat video retention, and all of this stuff is way more expensive. You talk about, I think the standard back in the day for a kit harness combo back in the day was around $35, $40, where now you could see all these things to install a newer generation head unit running you $400, $500, $600 more cost than some of the aftermarket head units, a lot of times in newer situations. You also have to think about steering wheel control integration. This is where one of our staple pieces that we call Control Pro comes into play. This is where we allow ourselves to connect into vehicle data bus or analog steering control signals and replicate these controls for aftermarket head units. PAC has been synonymous in the steering control industry for a very long time. We make multiple different products to cover a slew of different radio manufacturers and almost every vehicle on the market, whether it be a very quick computer programming of one of the Control Pro devices like a CP2, or the very quick and precise dip switch programming on a CP2 or on the newer generation SWIRC. Steering control interfaces from PAC have always been a winner. Then, of course, you combine the steering control information along with the vehicle harness, then along with the vehicle's data information. This is where we come up with our world-renowned Radio Pro interfaces. Radio Pro interfaces were designed in order to simplify all of the things that happen behind the dash of a vehicle. Radio Pro in its initial state was available in 3 different formats: RP3, RP4, and RP5. RP3 was definitely ahead of its time. It was allowed to work with amplified and non-amplified vehicles, and it was pre-wired just in case someone did have steering controls. They could either add them at that time with a separate module, or if the vehicle was defeatured, you simply didn't add it, and you kept the radio solution working in the vehicle without any problems. Radio Pro 4 now included that steering control information directly into the unit, so there was no need for you to bring that extra part over. It reduced the amount of parts behind the dash, and it now also allowed rear seat entertainment retention. Radio Pro 5 was the highest of the first generation that also included telematics retention, your OnStar and things like that, in order to keep the vehicle's data bus completely happy. The next generation of Radio Pro modules is Radio Pro Advanced. This is where we took a huge leap forward and made some devices that are, first and foremost, far more advanced than our own predecessors, the original Radio Pros. We listened to our installers and technicians for many years, and we thought about ways that we could make these newer interfaces surpass what we'd done in the past. We added different harness connections. We took away the low-level inputs because there wasn't ever a guarantee that your installer or salesperson would sell a head unit that had a 4-volt output. So by using high-level input, we can guarantee the right amount of input voltage into your factory amplifier if your vehicle was so equipped. We also thought about it from a sales standpoint, where we added additional digital chimes built into the brain of this unit so that they replicated the OEM chime signals and wasn't a standard little piezo buzzer that would go behind the dash. And to also make the playing field a little bit more level, we also serialized and map protected all of the Radio Pro Advanced modules, making this a well-rounded solution for radio replacement. Now, take that along with the need for more and more integration technologies to come along. This is where we started to see that having a kit that would blend into a vehicle's data bus made more sense. So this is where we blended our plastic side of our company along with our integration side of our company and created universal vehicle specific replacement kits. This particular kit here is one of our RPK kits, a Radio Pro kit that was a double DIN location that will work single DIN or double DIN, universal radio replacement options, but it had a 5.2-inch screen in it that allowed you to maintain all of the vehicle's controls, climate controls, factory camera controls, the ability to add additional cameras up to 5, all of the vehicle information that would typically be displayed on your OEM screen. TPMS information, battery voltage, gear selection. We even added custom performance screens to fit the vehicle if the vehicle was so designed to work that way. Then, of course, we moved into vehicle-specific kits when we created our own infotainment unit. So, of course, talking about the High 10. Once we took that step forward, now dealers and installers have the ability to choose one or two different ways. We don't want to take away from all the other big-time head unit manufacturers out there, the Alpines, the Kenwoods, JVCs, and Sonys of the world. That's why we have the universal vehicle specifics. Now we have the integrated, fully specific head unit combos with our Stinger High 10 with these particular kits. And we've talked about the Jeep kit, the way it shows off the integration for that one a million times over. We've talked about the Dodge Ram kit, the JK kit, and the Chevy truck kit for your 14 to 18 Silverado. Some of the newer kits that we've released are the newer Toyota Tacoma, your 16 to 21, also the new Charger Challenger kit, and the latest and greatest kit from the vehicle-specific High 10 kit is going to be the new Tundra kit. Now, there's a difference in these particular kits. These kits are always going to be designed with the nomenclature of SR. SR versus SRK means that when you see the K, this is going to be a fully integrated kit. On the left here, we have an older Jeep JK that has the ability to go from its double DIN location to a High 10 and look very classy in that older generation of vehicle where CarPlay was never an option, backup camera was never an option. So there you go when you want to add an aftermarket head unit in that particular Jeep platform. Now the newer JL has the ability for all of the data to be integrated easily into that vehicle. And this is where the SRK. So always remember, SR are going to be integrated plastics with the current PAC Radio Pro module to work with that vehicle, where SRK is going to be the newer Radio Pro Advanced with the plastics to integrate into the data bus and replicate vehicle information on the screen of the unit. Now let's talk about a few of our video integration solutions. Video integration can go a couple different ways. Video integration started off originally with PAC with some of our VIM modules that gave you video and motion. Video and motion kind of slowly played off for a bit. Then, of course, it became more of a situation of adding safety features. Things as keeping your factory radio with a large screen that wasn't capable of having a backup camera, like this older Jeep and other vehicle platforms, where we combine our EchoMaster safety brand along with the integration of our PAC component. And now we have the ability to integrate into backup cameras, front cameras, left and right blind spot cameras into the OEM screen. So having that camera integration along with video integration definitely makes PAC think forward and ensure that our customers have the ability to have many of the modern features integrated into an older de-featured vehicle. Now take that step even further, and now you see how we take integrating into OEM screens even further by now replicating in a new user interface that allows you to be able to control everything from that OEM screen, even from a stock standpoint in this particular GM platform, and also integrating into cameras into stock locations on blind spot, cameras into your rear view, your side mirrors, or into the bottom of these mirrors. So this is a platform that we call integrated safety, where it's completely plug and play into these vehicle platforms that we see in our stores on a regular basis. So if your customers are coming in de-featured vehicles, or they've been in a newer modern vehicle that has multiple different cameras, the combination of PAC for integration and EchoMaster for our safety products is available for many different platforms in order to get all of these safety features into these vehicles. Now, meat and potatoes, audio integration solutions. This is where PAC has been synonymous leader in this category for many, many years. Along the way, Ben, like we were talking about, line output converters, we saw that great video in the beginning on the newer Lock Pro Advance, but throughout the years, we have progressed everything from our most basic SNI 35 up to the next generation of removable interchangeable harnesses, from the SOEM brand of products from PAC to the next generation that bled over, which would be the Lock Pro series. Now, each one of these guys during their heyday, they were the leader of the pack. From the late 80s, early 90s, from the SNIs, the late 90s, early 2000s of the SOEMs, 2-channel, 4-channel input, adjustable switching to allow high-level input or low-level input, 2-channel and 4-channel models, independent gain control, and definitely more high power inputs than any other line output converter at that time with the older SOEMs. Now jump forward to the 2015-ish era when the Lock Pro modules came out. These were a lot more smaller and compact. The advancement of componentry allowed us to get a better signal ratio in order for a flatter signal to be achieved when adding a line output converter. 2-channel, 4-channel, and convertible harnesses to be able to go high-level input, low-level input, or low-level or high-level out. Whether you were using a line output converter to integrate in an amplifier or to integrate in a head unit into a factory amplified vehicle, PAC has always had a solution available for that particular application. And then, of course, we move into our newer generation Lock Pro Advance. We talked about that great video. These line output converters themselves are amazing. The metal housings, the higher powered inputs, everything that's available for these Lock Pro Advance modules. 2-channel input, 4-channel output, 2-channel input, 2-channel output, and the E4 that is the true 4-channel in, 4-channel output, and a full aluminum housing that allows complete fading to be retained within the capabilities of the Lock Pro Advance family. Now, how can we make Lock Pros even better and easier for installers? Very simple. We thought about the ability of being able to make the installation go a lot faster. By that, we figured out by adding the T-harnesses, that's right, T-harness. Everyone hears T-harness, their ears perk up. T-harness to allow you to install a Lock Pro Advance. Simply add that harness, wire it into the inputs of your Lock Pro Advance, and then you're ready to go right into your vehicle. It's extremely simple. By stocking these modules, these harnesses, these Lock Pro Advance harnesses, you have a very quick and easy way to T-harness directly into a vehicle with the flying leads that can provide power and ground or signal output to go right into your line output converter. Now, a lot of people need to realize that the Lock Pro harnesses are agnostic. They're brand agnostic. They don't matter what line output converter you put on the end of this because it has flying leads on the end. And what I've already done here is I've actually put the Phoenix connectors that come with our PAC line output converter on it. So that way I pre-wired it on the bench. Now I can simply plug it right in to this particular vehicle application. This is for your newer GM non-amplified vehicles. And now your Lock Pro is ready to T-harness right into your vehicle. Now, let's say I don't have PAC line output converters in stock. I said it's completely brand agnostic. Let's go over to our sister company, Audio Control, and they have their LC2Is and their other LC products, same style Phoenix connectors that can be wired in. You simply plug this guy in, plug and play, ready to go in your vehicle. Adjustable load resistance, adjustable turn on, AccuBase. Lock Pro Advance harnesses are a winner. It doesn't matter what brand of line output converter you're using these guys for. Non-amplified vehicle solutions with Lock Pro Advance harnesses are definitely a winner. And there's multiple different platforms with this harness available to our dealers. Simple plug and play, reducing the amount of time in the installation bay, the amount of wiring that needs to be cut within a vehicle so that you can add an aftermarket amplifier into a non-amplified system quickly and efficiently. We currently have this series of T-harnesses in the Lock Pro family available in Chrysler, Ford, GM, Nissan, and Toyota. And there are going to be additional harnesses added for Hyundai and Honda very soon. So having this series of Lock Pro Advanced harnesses in stock is a must for most companies. Now, once you get past a non-amplified scenario, let's look at our Amp Pro solution that are for the amplified vehicle solutions. Now, of course, when Amp Pro came into the market, it was a second generation of data bus controlled interfaces. A lot of people don't know that. PAC actually had a previous product called C2A that allowed you to connect into a few of the popular data bus controlled amplified systems. AP4 was the next generation and just took that process and shot off like a rocket. Plug and play T-harness solutions that went behind the head unit so that you could still use industry standard connections such as RCAs or even tossing optical output to go into your aftermarket amplifiers or into DSPs or DSP amplifiers. Being able to T-harness behind the head unit means no need to cut into a harness, no need to deface the OEM connectivity in the vehicle. Plug and play in between the factory amplifier and your radio. The Amp Pro also gave you the ability to build the system gradually. The factory amplifier stayed in place so that it could either play factory mids and highs, factory center channel, or whatever else that would be needed in order to add a subwoofer. Or if you want to do the entire system, because an Amp Pro was 6 channels, front, rear, and non-fading subwoofer, you had the ability to do as much as a system as the customer was financially able to do at any point in time. Amp Pro completely plug and play is available for Ford, GM, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Toyota, many different platforms for amplified solutions. Along with the Amp Pro, since we saw that there was a need for the majority of the sales at some point in time to go toward subwoofer installs, because we all know bass is typically the first upgrade, a less expensive, still high-tech version of Amp Pro called AP Sub or Amp Pro Sub was developed. What we did here was we just took off the other 2 additional RCA outputs and also took away the tossing output, crossed over that same fully adjustable output from the RCA, gave you sub-level control, gave you the same T-harness capability to now plug and play and keep your factory amplifier playing your interior mids and highs, now having that very solid 4 volt or 5 volt RCA low level out, sub-level control to now go out to your aftermarket amplifier and add that subwoofer to your modern data bus controlled factory amplified vehicle. Now, let's take a look at how some of this stuff works together, Ben. So if a dealer is thinking about the way APHs and LPHs, and APH is a Amp Pro harness and an LPH is a Lock Pro harness, we want dealers to truly understand how this works. Always think of LPH as non-amplified solutions. This particular Toyota application here, we're going to take a LPH TY01, and we're going to go into this Toyota Tacoma with the factory head unit, and we're now going to T-harness into the vehicle, provide 4-channel low-level signal directly into the PAC LPA E4. Then that line output converter is going to take that signal, pass it along to your brand of amplifier. Here we're showing an ACM 4.300 from audio control, and then that amplifier is going to play right into the replacement aftermarket speakers to go back into that vehicle. Nothing cut behind the head unit. You're going to run your aftermarket wiring from the RCAs, from the line output converter to your aftermarket amplifier, some really nice quality gauge speaker wire, and then to your speakers. Now you have a very unobtrusive, no wires cut in this vehicle installation to be able to add a 4-channel line output converter in this non-amplified solution. Now let's take this same scenario and say that this particular Tacoma was amplified. Here we're going to take an AP4, depending upon the year of the vehicle, either a TY12 or a TY13, and now plug the Amp Pro into that vehicle. Now you're going to have a ruler flat, digitally controlled signal from the head unit in before the JBL amplifier in this vehicle, and now get 3 sets of 5 or 4 volt RCA low level output to your aftermarket amplifiers that will now allow you to add front and rear speakers or a 2-way active front set and subwoofers into this vehicle, all without removing the factory head unit from the vehicle, all with completely plug and play harnesses to make the installation that much easier, reliable, and to be cosmetically integrated into the vehicle as if nothing has changed. But the consumer has also received a very high-powered audio system in this particular installation. We have this available in multiple different platforms. We're going to look at the LPH into the Chrysler platform of vehicles, which is an extremely popular vehicle we see in a lot of stores. You take your LPH CH41, T-harness it into a non-amplified vehicle, go into your line output converter, whatever your brand of line output converter, LPA or an LC2I or whatever the brand of line output converter you stock in your store. Go from there into your amplifier, then of course adding your aftermarket subwoofer into that vehicle. Complete plug-and-play solutions. When we talk T-harness solutions, this should make dealers and installers completely wake up and see that adding these aftermarket solutions is going to be a cakewalk. Now, let's say you just want to add amplified subwoofer solutions to your factory amplified vehicle. Here we are again using our digital amplified solution, the AP Sub CH41. Plug-and-play T-harness behind the head unit, RCAs from the Amp Pro directly out to your subwoofer amplifier, then to your subwoofers in whatever configuration you have in the trunk of the vehicle, sub enclosure, and now you can completely have solutions from PAC, complete integration solutions, whether it be non-amplified, amplified, complete system replacement, or just subwoofer integration into a vehicle. Having this skill set is what's extremely important for the installer to understand what's available, for the salesperson in the shop to understand what's available, and also for the store owner to know what's available. These little harnesses, whether you're tapping into non-amplified with LPH or the backside of an amplified system with an APH, these harnesses, along with speed wire and other type of installation techniques, will help reduce the amount of damage and wires that are cut into a vehicle that could potentially be problems down the road. Now, last but not least, we're going to talk about an easy GM solution for these newer GM non-amplified vehicles. This is the harness that we just had in our hands. This is your LPH GM71 that's going to T-harness into your GM vehicle. Now, that vehicle definitely is going to need load resistors. So in this application, we can actually take some load resistors from our sister company Audio Control and be able to wire those guys directly into the low-level speaker wires from the OEM head unit, provide that load into your aftermarket amplifier, all T-harness. The Phoenix connectors for the LGDs are the same Phoenix connectors that we use on the line output converters. Now you can plug these directly into your load resistor, providing that speaker balancing load to your factory head unit. Then from there into your amplifier, since you're converting that speaker level into high level input of your amplifier. Here we took a 6-channel DSP amplifier. We're going to be able to fully control the signal in this vehicle, adding front speakers, rear speakers, or two-way active and a subwoofer, all with the assistance of a basic T-harness behind the head unit, which is going to make this a cakewalk. Last but not least, we want to kind of talk about some of the installation integration solutions that we have, things that installers have known about for years. Customers really don't know about these things, but they know that they've helped us out over the years. Things like the TR4, their low voltage triggers, TR7s that have provided an ungodly amount of solutions for triggering low-level signals, multiple input triggers in order to provide outputs, or like a digital relay system. Our TR12 Pro, that was a computer-controlled device, to additional solutions like modern vehicles that are typically start-stop vehicles, lose their constant power or ignition circuit. So this is where we develop products like the IGN3 ignition module. When the IGN3 senses the vehicle go into start-stop mode, it will simply keep that switch power output at full voltage for that 160-second scenario, 140-second scenario where a start-stop occurrence happens. Vehicle comes to a red light, engine shuts down. Most start-stop vehicles can stay stopped for 120 seconds. So we ensure that the IGN3 will provide you out that 12-volt signal for up to 140 seconds to go beyond that start-stop occurrence, so that your interior electronics don't shut down. You can use that to power a dash cam. You can use it to power a radar detector. You can use it to trip relays so that you provide power to any other accessories in the vehicle, while your vehicle is stopped at a red light during that start-stop occurrence. Little things like this are things that PAC has been synonymous for many years in the way that we think about what's happening in modern vehicle technology and create these small little widgets that create a very easy way for installers to keep electronics working in vehicles. Even something as simple as a voltage regulator. The Volt 39 is a super piece that is very intricate in how it works. You have the ability to run into it anywhere from 10 to 24 volts and then have that voltage step down to 3.3 volts, 5 volts, 6 volts, or 9 volts. This can be used in multiple different applications. Powering a satellite radio tuner, powering a dash cam, powering a backup camera, because there are a lot of factory backup cameras that only need 6 or 9 volts in order to work. A lot of people have wired up backup cameras. I've been a victim of this myself because I didn't realize that as vehicles had evolved, some of the platforms went down to 9 volts or 6 volts, and then you wind up burning up that OEM camera. This is where devices like the Volt 39 was designed for installers, by installers, to help prevent all of these type of failures, and also to give you that advantage of being able to have the solution when you need it in a vehicle to provide the voltage properly needed for whatever electronic piece that you may have. So Ben, that's kind of a wide variety of products here that we went over to show the capabilities of PAC. And we have everything from start to finish: head unit integration, video integration, audio integration, and so many other types of little trinkets and widgets that installers can use in order to have the total solution of integration.
Mr. Smith, there's a couple of notes I wrote down here, and I think it's really important that we revisit some of this stuff. First of all, great presentation. Thank you so much. Very well thought out. I cataloged everything. Let's go ahead and take down this presentation so Jeff and I can have a little conversation here. Jeff, you know, the one word that kept on popping up throughout your entire presentation is harnesses. And I just want to say that might be the single most game-changing term in the install bay, which is harnesses. So, you know, I think you identified different scenarios for different use of sometimes the same harness. And is that, did I catch that right? Is that the same harness that you can use for different scenarios, or is it a different harness for every scenario?
So depending upon the vehicle, there could be 2 different harnesses. So we want to make sure everyone understands that the LPH harnesses, Lock Pro harnesses, these are for non-amplified installations. Okay. And the outputs don't have the Phoenix connectors on them that we have here. They're simply the flying wire leads. They're 4-channel leads. If the vehicle has 4-channel high power, you're going to have your front and rear speaker wires, and you're going to have your power outputs if that's available. Now, these speaker outputs can be used to go directly into a line output converter. They can be used to go right into a DSP. They can be used for anything, but LPH is meant to be used with non-amplified solutions.
Before you go too far, so non-amplified situation, I want to add, let's say, for in this conversation, an audio control 5-channel amplifier. I could use that harness and run those high level right into an amplifier that takes high level in.
100%. You could take these guys and run it back into it. Now, here's another caveat, Ben. Let's say you guys have speed wire in your bay. We have, I don't know if you can see it. You see these 2 pieces of heat shrink here? This is where you can cut this harness in the middle here. Now you have a side that says out to speakers and then in from head unit. Now you can run your speed wire from your 5-channel amplifier under your seater in the back up to this harness. And now all of your factory speaker wires can be powered directly from this in the harness.
So you don't have, so that means I don't have to run speaker wire from my amplifier into all the locations.
There you go. You can use all the factory speaker wires by cutting into the harness right at this point where we put the 2 different systems.
Imagine if you, as a tech, you didn't know that and how much time that would save you.
Right.
Okay. The Lock Pro Advanced. I want to circle back to that a little bit because there's not that many devices in the industry that does what that Lock Pro Advanced actually does. Did you say you had one there, Jeff?
Yeah, I do. I have a LPA 2.4.
Now, there's 3 different models in that range, correct?
Correct. So there's 5 models total, 3 different series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have LPA 1.1, 1.2, and 1.4. That's your entry level. That only takes up to 20 volts of input.
So really, so before you go too far, so the classification, one of the main ones you need to be aware of when you're ordering this stuff is what type of signal are we talking about? Are we talking about a very high signal or just a regular low high level signal? Did I say that right? I think I did.
Yeah. If it's a lower voltage, if it's under 20 volts, the 1 series will work with no problems. If you want to kind of stock a middle of the road that'll handle everything, the 2 series is available in 2-channel input, 4-channel output, or 2-channel input, 2-channel output. This is going to add low pass crossover for channels 3 and 4.
Is that adjustable or is that a fixed low pass?
It's a fixed low pass crossover point. You're also going to add a bass boost. That's a fixed bass boost point, but adjustable in boost level. Then you're going to also have your clipping indicators for each output. You're also going to have the ability to then go up to the big boy, the E4. If fading is required by the customer to be retained, then the E4 is what you would use. Since the E4 can now handle 4-channel input and 4-channel output, the 1 series and 2 series are all steel housings. When you go up to the E4, that's when you go to a full aluminum housing because it can handle 400 watts of input on each of the inputs total. So you have 440 volts inputs on the E4. That's why it's the big boy.
And of these 3 levels, what about the output side?
Output side is voltage dependent upon your input voltage, but depending upon what you're bringing in, you could get up to 9.5 volts out depending upon the amount of voltage coming in. It doesn't have a line driver built into it, so it's always going to be dependent upon the amount of voltage coming in according to what you get out of it. Yeah.
Okay. So, and most of the time, these are small enough to kind of hide somewhere behind the source.
Right, exactly. That's why we built them into the metal housings, because if you were to add load resistors, which all of these have selectable load resistors inside, if you were to just stick load resistors behind the dash, they're going to get hot. They could potentially melt plastic behind the dash, melt insulation on wires, causing shorts or even potentially causing a fire. With these metal housings inside, you can then T-harness this guy completely into the vehicle, plug and play, and then have your line output converter just in the back of the vehicle. You have enough room to zip tie or double stick it down behind the dash, run your RCAs and your remote wire to the back. You're good to go.
Really? And while you're there, it's probably a good idea to take some Stinger, sound dampening and wrap it just so it doesn't vibrate. Just a little
you could do that too.
Just a little tip. Roadkill doesn't hurt nobody. All right, the last point and my takeaway from this is, if you've kept on with us until here, that means you're interested in integration. That means you understand that this is a part of the business that you really need to stay, on the ball with, because any opportunity or any application that you are not aware of could potentially be a lost sale, right? Having said that, you said something, Jeff, that really struck a chord with me. This is one of those categories where the entire team in the shop need to be on the same page. Right? Because from the moment the customer, either they call in and they're, asking, hey, do you do this for I got this car, can you do this for me? Or the moment they walk in saying, listen, I just picked up this, right? And a lot of case, a lot of our business is the secondhand, recently used vehicles, right? They're going to come in and they expect you to know what you can do for them. If you don't have that knowledge or you're not taking that time to, invest the time into making sure you're up to date, you're not doing a service to yourself as a business or to that customer. And I just want to reiterate how important it is, whether it's, this is a brand agnostic statement I'm making, OEM integration, you need to be on top of what's going on.
100%, Ben. I tell you, even when I had my own retail store, I fell into the habit of not always reading the emails that came from manufacturers. You could take 5 to 10 minutes every day, instead of being on your phone, watching TikToks and Instagram and everything else, read the emails from your manufacturers. I can't express to you how many times a dealer will call up and say, hey, I need a solution for this. And we're like, dude, we released that a year ago. And they go, what? They didn't even know. And other dealers in their same towns are knocking vehicles out with no problem because they are staying on top of the latest releases. We at AMP put out constant emails for new product releases from every company. We have new product releases on our websites, our dealer portal, everything that dealers can imagine. We make sure our distributors and retailers get all the information they need in order to stay on top of new product releases.
I'll tell you what, Jeff Smith, you've been on CMA for just PAC. I'm just going to talk PAC probably 4 or 5 times now. Okay. And every single time you've brought new news, new applications to the table. Did you talk about Tundra last time you were here? No, you did not.
No, not about PAC.
Not PAC. Did you, Tacoma? That's a huge one. If you didn't know that PAC came out with that Tacoma kit, you're missing out on so many vehicles, right? And then of course the Chrysler Charger 300 one. So anyhow, that was it. Whether you're on the email list with AMP or you're watching CMA, just make sure you, and I mean everybody, the guy in the front needs to know, the tech needs to know, the boss needs to know. This is one of those things you have to stay on top of. All right. On that note, if you're interested in anything that Jeff was so kindly and so professionally presented today, go check out pac-audio.com. Everything from PAC, which I learned today, Pacific Accessory Company is what PAC stands for. Learned that one today, Jeff. Thank you so much. And if you're in Canada and you're a dealer and you're looking for PAC products, there's 2 distributors you can choose from. Either hit up Automobility at automob.ca or Gentech at gentechintl.com. Mr. Smith, that was a pleasure as always. I love doing these ones with you, and I look forward to the next one, sir. Actually, we'll see you on the live that we're doing on OEM Integration. I believe that's our next date.
Next Wednesday. We'll see you.
Yeah. Take care, Jeff.
Bye, Ben.
All right. I want to remind you to continue tuning in to CMA Networks right through till August 26th, because as you can see with our presentation today with PAC, we are right into the OEM Integration sessions featuring the premier brands in the category. All these brands provide solutions so that you can integrate into every vehicle that comes through your shop. Now, we also have an exciting contest going right now. It's your chance to win a free Kenwood Motorsport dual camera in collaboration with JVC Kenwood Canada. You can enter for a chance to win a free motorsports grade dual camera recording system valued at $700. Your adventures deserve to be on camera, and you can catch all the action with this HD front and rear view recording built for motorcycles, UTVs, ATVs, and so much more. How do you participate? Head over to the CMA Facebook page and enter. All right. Last but not least, while you're there, check out cmanetworks.com if you enjoyed this video and many more. Like I mentioned, Jeff and I have done many of these videos across all of AMP global brands. Check them out by brand, by category, or check out my man Jeff's own profile page right here on cmanetworks.com. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, for this CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
Stop it.
Yo, roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?